Hello, hello. We're back for part two. What it do? Ooh, ooh. I don't know if y'all seen my shirt earlier, but this is an oldie to my favorite show ever, Squad Girls. Y'all see Blanche and Dorothy. I mean, no, that's damn, Sophia, Dorothy, and Rose. Squad goals. Anyway, so last time we left y'all with some things that'll make you smile. But over here, when we're healing and not healed, we also like to work and tap into your mental. So
100.
this segment, we're gonna go through our clips that are about working from within, where we discuss how mental health matters and putting yourself first, Lucius. So what you got first, friend?
All right. From my good girl, from Dr. Jasmine Hendricks. Here we go.
We prioritize our own mental health and our mental well-being. And in Black and brown cultures, that hasn't been a thing. So this is new. We're all kind of learning how to tap into our mental health and how to prioritize our mental well-being. It's very new, I think, in our cultures, and it's very new to, you know, I know me and, sis, we've talked about it, right? Getting our parents to go to therapy, or even as a professional psychologist going to therapy myself, right? There's nothing
Sure.
wrong with tapping into your mental health and prioritizing your mental health. And that's the first step that we have to do in our cultures. We have to change that stigma that mental health is tied to crazy, or mental health is tied to something being wrong with an individual. We all need to prioritize our mental health, every single person.
So in that clip, Dr. Hendricks was talking about how mental health is definitely a thing that everyone needs to subscribe to. And I think that's something we talked about a lot. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, you need to pour into yourself, and it shouldn't be a stigma to want to be okay within yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, we always talk about healing, not healed, because it truly is a journey, right? We're not trying to have an end destination. And then sometimes you will be on your journey and you're like, man, look how good I am. Look how far I've came. And then somebody will come and they'll pull that rug right. So it's imperative that you realize that it's nothing wrong with having mental health issues, and just to tap in and get the help you need. And then speaking of putting yourself first, we also did kind of delve into, um, that on one of the episodes where you have to basically do just that. And when we talked about it, we said we wanted to put your mask on first, and this was it.
Wow. The best analogy I can give that person is when you board an aircraft and you're listening to all the things, you're excited to get to your destination, and you listen to that flight attendant. What do they tell you?
Put your mask on
Before
first.
anybody else. And that's the best analogy I can give, because if you do not do that, how can you potentially help somebody else? So just pour into you, find something that really grounds you in this chaos. It's a lot of things going on right now. We kind of touched on those
Mm,
things, but for some people, it's different levels of that
mhm.
magnitude. They might have lost a loved
Job.
one. They
Mhm,
might have lost a job, might not figure out how they can rob Peter to pay
mhm,
Paul next
mhm.
month.
Right.
Um, it's just so heavy.
Mhm.
So I would just say find something that grounds you.
Mm.
Reach out to people. Don't be so proud. I think that's another thing that people do sometimes. It's like, oh, I can't ask this person. You'd be surprised. It's probably some people.
Okay.
That video also did pretty well on TikTok. A lot of people were resonating about you can't pour from an empty cup. You got to put yourself first. And I think a lot of times we're so overextended with trying to help others around us that we forget about the most important person, which is ourselves. And you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, my clinical psychologist, though, he did recently tell me I had my mask on too damn long. Um, so go ahead and take that thing off, sis, and start, doing some other stuff. But
And that can be self-detrimental as well. On top of talking about ourselves, we also had another special guest on who was talking about the disparities in Black maternal health. A good friend of mine. So we're going to share that clip about how she denoted how Black women are treated in the maternal health slavery in the maternal health setting with slavery.
here we go.
A quick help tip on how women can advocate for themselves and their loved ones in relation to Black maternal health.
Yeah. One, do your homework. I think I've been saying that this whole time, right? Like, make sure that you are the expert on your own body, your own journey. You lead your team. Okay. I do a session with all my clients, specifically about know your rights. It takes us like an hour and a half, and we talk about, if you don't give consent to something, understand what that means, giving written consent, removing consent, what that looks like, firing and rehiring your birth team. Because if you can fire and rehire a doula, you could do the same thing with your doctor. Other ways to advocate for yourself. Sometimes I have clients who are like, I'm really not that person that likes to be confrontational. They're already expecting it to be a confrontation. I tell them to write it down and give it to the care team. Now, if they don't read it, I don't know. But I tell my families, like, you'll know, because they'll ask you, like, oh, well, why was this a concern for you? Or do you want to talk about that further? A good care provider, like how you guys are saying you are. There's no way somebody's going to slide you a note, Maisha or Sade, and you're like, oh, girl, throw that away,
Right. And I don't think she ever got her just due. Like that episode, I think people kind of slept on a little bit for whatever reason. But I really want people to go back and just listen to it again. Because she really shed a lot of gems on that particular episode.
She really did. And speaking of guest sharing gems, we also had the privilege of having your brother on, who is an addiction specialist.
For sure.
Um, and he got to talk about harm reduction and what that looks like when you're dealing with people who may be struggling with addiction.
And here he is.
To prevent an overdose,
Mhm.
make sure that if you are using, so we try to go with a harm reduction model, right? So if you are use with people that you trust and know, right? There's a big stigma around it, so a lot of people use alone,
In private.
right?
Yes.
Because they don't want anyone to know what's going on.
Correct.
Find somebody that you trust if you are going to use. You can all there are places in Baltimore City where you can go, and there's free vending machines, right?
Mhm.
For Narcan, you can get Narcan free, obviously, throughout Baltimore.
Yes.
You can get fentanyl test strips. That's the most important thing. You want to make sure you're getting the fentanyl test strips.
So you know what you're getting.
Right. Because now it's laced in everything. It's in heroin, it's in cocaine, it's in marijuana.
Pills.
Yeah. And so we even encourage clients, if you're going to smoke marijuana, go to a dispensary.
Big time.
We're so focused on harm reduction. Like, we don't want you to die. That's the thing. So get the fentanyl test strips. Always have a Narcan kit on you, and make sure that you're using with somebody that you know and trust.
And that they know that if I call, I will not get in trouble.
Right.
We just are worried about you making it to see another day.
Yeah, I think that was wonderful. Like you said, we just don't want you to die and we want you to be here. And it's a judgment-free zone. And these are ways that you can definitely reduce harm in those settings. And hopefully that resonated with people who, have people struggling with addiction, to help open up those conversations and let them know that the main goal is to reduce harm.
Yeah, unfortunately, that stigma is going to be there. The stigma is going to be there. Just because it's not like alcohol, or like we talked about some of the other addictions, like shopping addictions, or things that's
Mhm.
not deemed as, I guess, less. I mean, not deemed as taboo, right? So people will use in private or again and again. We just have to keep getting the information out there.
Absolutely. I think you discussed this, which also was a clip that did really well, was good versus bad pain versus on a conversation that you had with your therapist.
Yes, here we go. And I did say it was good pain versus bad pain, but the technical terms is it's clean versus dirty. But here we go.
Okay.
Like, in order to change anything, really to get you out of that comfort zone, you have to look at it as it's good pain and it's bad pain. And I'm like, I really want you to explain that to me. The way he broke it down was the good pain is okay, I've removed this toxicity or this comfortable situation that was not helpful to me.
Right.
I've removed that. Now I'm going to go through the woes of rebuilding, right? But the bad pain is staying in that comfortable situation that's no longer serving me.
Yes.
So now I'm staying in that, and I'm going to continue to have this horrible experience with this just because I'm afraid to go past that point. So if I look at it that way, I would just say, if it is going to be good pain, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer in both.
Yeah.
But that one is temporary and this is long term, and that can be more of a detriment to
Yeah.
your overall health. And I will say, with the clean pain, for me now is something that I'm like, come on, sign me up for that because this bad pain is trying to kill me. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and I think that's the conversation that really resonated with you that we are still talking about. We just spent some time together and we brought that up again. So again, y'all, we be dropping gems over here and we actually practice what we preach. You know, a lot of the stuff we're not saying it because it's cute or it's trendy. Like we're actually living life and we're going
Out
through the
fucking
things
life.
that we're talking about fighting for my life, man. And we, a lot of the things that we discuss with our therapists and even with one another, it does resonate with us. So I think that clip resonated with a lot of people. And so did that episode. It did really well about people not being complacent. And if you haven't seen it and you're struggling with feeling a place of complacency or in that journey, that's definitely one that I would recommend running back or even starting.
Yes.
Uh,
And speaking of which, in order to make sure that you are in clean versus dirty, or don't even have to get to that pain part, tapping in with your partners, friendships, and romantic relationships on what your love languages are. And you spoke about the love language episode where you talked about how your childhood kind of shaped you as an adult. And that episode did really well as well. And I think it resonated with people because they were like, huh, let me think about this. Let me ponder on this. How was my childhood? So here it is.
Weeks ago, she was like, well, tell me about your parents. And I was like, well, they were married however 25 years, whatever, before they divorced. And then she's like, what did that look like? And I was like, I knew that they had a great partnership, but I don't visually remember like affection and love. And she was like, and so I was like, I that's something I have to learn. But it's like when you're in your 30s, it's uncomfortable. It's not like when people are like, oh, my dad got my morning, gave my mom a kiss and a hug. Like, I didn't see that. I knew they loved each other. And I know, but I'm like, it wasn't like holding hands and things like that. So I'm like, all those things in my adulthood are things that I'm learning, but it's uncomfortable because it's not something I'm used to, you know? Sure. And I think if you're intrinsically like that, it may work. Because my sister is very affectionate, even though we grew up in the same house, but that may be intrinsically who she is. Yeah. But I'm like, for me, it's not. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I have to actively try to hold your hand or to be lovey and PDA in public. It makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. Now, I know that it's important. If you have a partner and they want to love on you, it's rude of you to be like, don't touch me. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm not used to that.
But I think you can overcome that too.
No, for sure. You can.
You can.
I have.
Yeah.
In certain instances, but it's like, it's active. It's not natural.
And I think a part of my hesitation with the PDA is like, are we doing this for us or are we doing it for somebody else?
Right. Yeah, I think something I'm still struggling with. But we're working on it. And I think it comes easier when you have supportive friends and supporting partners that allow you that safe space and allow you that patience and allow you that grace. But I think that resonated with a lot of people as well. A lot of people were writing me like, oh, I thought that was just me. Oh, I experienced the same thing with my parents. And, a lot of them were in relationships already, long-term relationships, and we're saying how it is hard for them. And I'm like, it's active, but also it's a want. When you're with someone that you care about and you like, it becomes more of a want and it doesn't become forced, because when it's forced and you already don't want to do it, then that creates tension. But if there's someone that you love or care about enough that you're like, hey, I want to be different, I think that switches it up and it makes it less hard to want to make the adjustments for sure.
I agree. And I think when you have somebody that you can really just be completely vulnerable with and you want to extend that, it comes organic and natural. So even the childhood might not even play such of a role in that, because now I'm just organically walking, intrinsically walking with you on this journey. And I want to be with you. I want to reciprocate that type of love. But that's too far in between. But yeah, so that's it for our what was this one again?
Looking within.
Yeah. So guys, please go back, check out the episodes. We have the link now in our bio where you can just go click and it'll take you to all of our, on Apple, on YouTube, everything. So just go ahead
Yeah,
and catch up. Enjoy it during the break.
absolutely. See y'all for part 3.
Bye.